to Pop Jedi. I'm, of course, Rob DiLauro. With me, as always, is Miss JennaSayWhat. Jenna, what's going on?
Not too much. Just stoked to talk about this movie.
So unfortunately, Di will not be here tonight. She had some other engagements, but she is definitely here in spirit. So we got a couple things to talk about before we get to Top Jedi. First of all, again, guys, want to thank you all for your continued love and support. We really do appreciate it. And when it comes to love and support, this is kind of crazy. But we ended up promoting this episode on Instagram the other night, and apparently Bloodsport himself, Mr. Idris Elba, Mr. A plus, is paying attention to our show, which is absolutely insane. For being only 25 episodes into the show, it just shows us that we are on the right track when it comes to planning and, you know, the way the show works. So, Mr. Elba, thank you very much, and we hope that you actually enjoy the actual review when it comes out. So, Jenna, you actually had a pretty wild weekend this week. You attended a con and did some judging.
Yes, I did. And I actually, instead of wearing Harley to this con, I decided that I was going to wear Zeitgeist to this con, which was the poor soul that died in Deadpool 2 per the wood chipper. So, but I put together this cosplay because mask, pockets, like flats, oh my, like the whole 9 yards. And I went, had a blast. We had some amazing contestants. Our first, second, and third places, they did incredible work. So I'm very proud of them.
Well, let everybody else know why you decided to play that character. Tell people how you feel about Mr. Bill Skarsgård.
Hello, Bill. I love my Pennywise. Oh my God. I love Bill Skarsgård in any iteration, like everything. So whenever he played that role, I was like, man, I'm going to cosplay this one day, aren't I? And then I ended up pulling it together because I go to Dragon Con every year. So they're doing full mask mandates during the con. So I was like, I guess this is my sign to cosplay Zeitgeist. So now I officially have 2 Bill Skarsgård cosplays in my closet.
So basically,
Harley-wise, and I have Zeitgeist now.
So basically, in layman's terms, guys, she thinks Pennywise is hot. Would you like a
do.
balloon, Mr. Pennywise?
Oh God, I would crawl down that sewer in like 2 seconds. You couldn't stop me. Take off, just slide.
Something for everybody. All right, guys. Well, listen, we're going to get to Top Jedi here. So, very weak news week this week, unfortunately. So, Jenna, what is going on in Top Jedi this week?
So, we have a new anime coming out, which I am like super stoked about. It is called Dark Squadron, and it is put on by Sinistar Pictures, which is, and I think this is absolutely precious, but it's Zoe Saldana and her 2 sisters that run this company. And I love that, like a family making a business together, and it's working out, and they're teaming up with Crunchyroll. Dark Squadron is about 4 failing cadets that steal the ship, take off on a joyride, and then they come back and their academy is in ruins and everyone is gone. And so they're kind of like these misfits that have to like figure things out as they go. They're very inexperienced. So I think it's really exciting to see that she's also now tapping into anime. And I'm really stoked to see it. I think it's going to do really well.
So next in Top Jedi, we actually have some really awesome Buffy the Vampire Slayer news. I'm a huge fan of Buffy. You know, we all know about Joss Whedon. I get it. But, you know, there is a way to separate art from the artist. And for me growing up, Buffy was, you know, like inspirational and just incredible in so many ways. And I just love that entire world. And so we're finally getting a new Slayer, but it's in book form. It's for young adults. And it's actually coming out next year. It's from the it's from the Fox arm of Disney. And it's going to introduce Willow's daughter, teenage daughter, who's half witch and half Slayer, to the world of Sunnydale. Now, the question is, how is Sunnydale not a crater? I don't know. Maybe they moved it next door. Maybe we'll find out. Who knows? But this is awesome because, in this actual story, Willow is still around, kind of mentoring her daughter into the dark arts and stuff like that. So there's a chance we can get a new Buffy. That would be awesome.
Yeah, have that continuation
so cool.
of the story.
Mm-hmm. And you know what? I wouldn't take it that Disney wouldn't try to do something of that nature. Especially owning all the Fox properties. Jenna, what's going on in Top Jedi?
So we have our Gomez Adams now.
Mm-hmm.
Louise Guzman has taken on the role, and I think that it was a great casting. I hear that he is just an absolute angel of a person. So I don't think it could have happened to a better actor. I am happy that they are going with a Hispanic actor, because I know that there was some talks about, oh, well, Gomez is white. It's like, look at the name. Let's. So I'm really happy that they are placing him in the role. I think that he is going to do amazing as Gomez, and I am thrilled to see this movie come to life, and I'm really stoked. I'm so happy for him.
Yeah. So this Netflix show that's going to be produced and directed by Tim Burton, which is pretty wild in itself.
I'm stoked about that all on its own, but
yeah, it just seems like they're taking the route of Raul Julia, as Gomez, as opposed to John Astin from the classic show. As you said, the Hispanic angle, which absolutely makes sense. And Louis Guzman has been acting for probably about 30-40 years, and he's an incredible actor, and he's got a great sense of humor, and he's just perfect for that role. So next in Top Jedi news, you know what? It was mainly it was just introducing you back to the world, because we have not been in Stranger Things territory for well over a year. But they did give us little snippets with this promo trailer that came out the other day, which shows 11 and the rest of the young group. And there was one really cool instance where Hopper, who is supposed to be in Russia, I don't know what, if he's time traveling, he's in a different era or whatever, has a flamethrower. And I'm thinking, and we're going to posit a theory here on Top Jedi, that this is actually going to be their homage to John Carpenter's The Thing.
Oh, I like that theory.
Yeah, so Hopper basically becomes McCready, you know what I mean? And maybe there's a Demogorgon running around, the installation or something. Kind of like your favorite movie, Alien. Like a mix between Alien and John Carpenter's The Thing. I think that's absolutely going to be what they do.
I like that angle. I like that theory a lot. Yeah.
We'll have to see, because we're not getting it until next year. Jenna, what is next in Top Jedi?
So it's official. AC Bradley, the head writer of What If, with the MCU, is now canon in the MCU. So hey, it was our thoughts on it were right. He said in a interview that the events of What If are canon. It is part of the MCU multiverse. The multiverse is here. It's real, and it's absolutely fantastic, people. So it's official. All of this is canon, and I'm really excited to see where it takes us and see what little things intersect with other movies, TV shows. At this point, there's so many twists and turns. There's so many doors that are going to be open, and I'm excited.
Yeah, when What If first came around, when they were promoting it and stuff, it was it looked beautiful, and I was interested, but I was kind of yeah, you know what I mean, if it was just a one-off thing. But we did actually talk about that theory on the show, that this was obviously going to open up the multiverse, and the timing is obviously right, because when Sylvie did what she did with He Who Remains, here comes What If, and It's really awesome. Now I'm absolutely 120,000% more excited for this show.
Yeah,
Um,
same.
yeah. And it's going to be really cool just to hear all these people doing their voices, and this is exciting for us because we had mentioned before how happy we were that the Suicide Squad was finally coming to reality. So of course that's what we're going to be reviewing today is the Suicide Squad movie from 2021, which just dropped 2 days ago. And man, I first off, I have to say this because I think Jenna is on the same page. I absolutely adore Suicide Squad from 2016.
Yep.
There's so much that I love about it, especially the director's cut of that movie.
Mm-hmm.
I love the setup. I think there's a lot of character development that a lot of people don't really mention. And it just holds up for me. And I honestly, like, I don't know, from what I saw, like, I really like Jared Leto's Joker.
I do too, and everybody, like, I know that that's gonna get people being like, oh, how dare, but it's just, I mean, we like what we like. And
but we're not talking about 2016. We're talking about the Suicide Squad by Mr. James Gunn, written and directed by Mr. James Gunn. And I will say this before we start. James Gunn, not necessarily a huge part of my life, but when I first started in this business, I was really good friends with Mr. Michael Rooker, Savant himself. And I'd known Michael for years. I actually remember I had a conversation with him, and it was just me and Mike on the phone, and he was just like, you know what? He goes, you're like, our friendship reminds me of me and Jimmy. Like Jimmy Gunn. Yeah, so that's crazy. But I also actually got some career advice from James Gunn around the time I think Slither had come out.
AKA alien porn.
Yeah, oh yeah. And he just basically, like, kind of gave me a guide, like, this is why we're doing Pop Jedi right now, which is interesting because I gave myself a certain window of like 10 years or more. And I felt like if I was stuck in a rut, I was going to kind of, switch things out. And James Gunn was the person to tell me to do that. So that's why we're on this show. Thanks to Mr. James Gunn. So he has so much more to do with this show than just the review itself.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have to remember, aside from all the, magnificent visuals he's given us, the characterizations of characters that nobody really cared about at a certain point, all the beautiful things that he's done, James Gunn, by all accounts, has been part of the horror genre for many, 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 many years.
Yep.
An indie director, just a very visual guy who was very open to his fans. This is a person that literally started at Trauma with Lloyd Kaufman, which, of course, Lloyd Kaufman was in the bar in the Suicide Squad. So James Gunn never forgot his roots. I don't know. You know what? I don't really have anything really negative to say about this movie. Just want to say to you guys as well, we don't care about scores and don't care about numbers. Okay? This is not that kind of show. There's plenty of shows out there on YouTube you can get that information from. We're not going to slam this movie. It's not going to happen. So,
Over
Jenna,
my dead body.
So, well, Jenna, what did you think of the Suicide Squad?
Oh my God. It was amazing. Like, I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. Like, I mean, he went straight in for it, like, right out of the gate. Like, there was nothing, like, it was just action right out of the gate. And I thought it was such a good film from start to finish. Like, I felt that it gave all the characters enough development, the characters that stuck around, enough development. It gave a little bit of, like, information about, like, the characters that all died, but I felt like it almost kind of had like a Deadpool feel to it. The entire way through. especially with like the team that is in with Amanda Waller. Like,
Mhm.
I love how they gave all of them personalities.
Yeah.
And it just, it kind of made me feel of like Deadpool's like crew that's kind of in the back end,
Mhm.
like his best friend and you know, bartender and like all of this and that, like all the characters that surround Deadpool and are kind of like supporting characters of him.
Mhm.
I felt like it kind of had that vibe to it with that group. So I mean, man, like I know we're gonna get into it piece by piece, but like, whew, it's a lot to unpack, and it's so good, so good.
Yeah. Actually, I know I've been paying quite a bit of attention to James Gunn's interviews and stuff, and he said obviously one of the main inspirations that he received, because I'm a huge fan of classic movies as well. He got a lot of inspiration from The Dirty Dozen, was one of the films, and then another film called Where Eagles Dare with Clint Eastwood. But the interesting thing is, when I was watching this film, I felt like I was watching an 80s TV show, like the A-Team. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
That's what I felt. It kind of had that covert, kind of Mission Impossible, type feel to it. But it also, kind of felt like, I don't know, kind of Inglorious Bastardish in a way as well.
Yeah.
It was just, so well done. And the interesting thing about it is there's so many pieces to that puzzle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it could have been an absolute mess if somebody had just put them together the wrong way.
Yep.
And
Agreed.
and like from the comedy angle to the violence angle to the war angle, to the obviously like, kind of socio-political undertones within the film.
Yep.
With the, Corto Maltesians. Yeah, it was wonderful. I had such a great time, and it felt like a ride. And honestly, I haven't felt that way about a movie in a very, very long time.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about, we'll call it Squad A, which is obviously the team that actually goes in, basically the beaches of Normandy.
Yes.
So was there anything that was alarming to you or surprising that happened with that particular team?
Yes. Like how quickly everyone was killed off was insane. I was expecting
Boomer. I was like, oh
no, but I can't take credit for this because it's like a friend of a friend that said this, but his arm is still like okay, and they were like, what if it's like a boomerang, it comes back? And I was like, oh my god, like that's the only thing that I'm like really like hanging on to with like a death grip, because I'm just like, they took away Captain Boomerang, and that makes me so sad because he's such a good character. And like you can tell that Harley and him have such a good rapport because she's like calling him Boomy, and he's just like happy about that. Like it's not anything like she made up a nickname and he hates it, like she did in Birds of Prey, with Romy.
Yeah, well, she actually turns around at GCPD and she goes, I know that guy.
Yeah,
and it's Captain Boomerang on the wanted poster.
Yep. And so I feel like they have like a connection and stuff, and I do feel like it probably played a huge factor in with Harley, where she lost so many friends of hers. But yeah, during that scene, like I was really surprised that they killed off the weasel like right immediately then and there. I was like, Jesus, like they went straight for it. And then like I didn't expect it to be like a bloodbath right from the get-go. And like the entire time I'm watching Harley's like little picture, making sure that she's still alive, like while this is going on, they're doing shots of like the command center, and I'm like, she's still okay, she's good. But like, oh,
what I was mostly surprised by, that when it comes to that team, not just Boomerang, but Flula Borg has been talking about playing javelin like all over the place, and all the work that he put into his body for the role. And I was really just shocked how fast Javelin got like murked.
I know. I was not expecting that whatsoever. I expected it to be like at least a little bit in.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we kind of all knew that Javelin was going to be, killed off. We kind of had that hunch because we see Harley with the Javelin and the previews. Mm-hmm. But yeah, the fact that I really expected him to last longer because of, how much work he put into himself and how he was really blasting it all over. And like, it's like, hey, I'm going to be Javelin, dead, like immediately.
And that's, of course, where we get the wonderful thing that happens where he's saying his last dying words to Harley, like, you need to do, and she's like, to do what? Like she's freaking out.
Yeah.
She's smacking him in the face. What am I supposed to do?
What am I supposed to do? Like, yeah, I loved that part because she just like, I feel that, like, that would probably be me too, because I'd be like, do what? What am I supposed to do?
Well, when it comes to Squad A, when we actually get into the helicopter, I thought it was really cool because it was saying that they were trying to stray so far away from the 2016 version, but it's very obvious that once Harley comes back into the fold, this is her second time around.
Yeah.
So she knows, Boomerang, and she obviously knows Flag, and we'll get into that in a little while because there's some really deep chemistry between those two in this movie. Yep. I caught it.
Oh yeah, it's very obvious.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk about Squad B. And of course, we're introduced to Idris Elba. I thought the thing that was mostly the coolest thing about Idris Elba's introduction is that Will Smith's Deadshot was, obviously, like, he was doing everything for his daughter. And I think the thing was really fascinating was this was the exact opposite.
Yep.
And he thought his daughter was like a complete and utter, like, idiot. You know what I mean? Yeah. And they're yelling, "Fuck you! Fuck!" Like, it's crazy. Yeah. That was nuts. And I'm like, should I be laughing at this, or like, is this a serious moment? Because I don't know. For some reason, I thought it was kind of funny.
It was, yeah, because it's just like, it shows you how deep their like aggression is towards each other. Like, it shows it right out of the gate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and of course, the situation of, you're not my dad. I think you're a piece of shit, and you've never done nothing right in your life. Yep. And then of course, it was also mentioned like earlier on, because it is in the comics that Bloodsport actually shot Superman with a kryptonite bullet, and he was in the ICU for it, and that's why he's in Belle Reve. So we're introduced to this new group with him. What was the most exciting, when it came to this, this introduction to the new characters? So
I went in with like, I wasn't sure if I was gonna like Polka Dot Man, and I wasn't sure if I would like Ratcatcher, and those two ended up like, I love them. Like, I was not expecting that. I always kind of figured that I was gonna like King Shark, just because of like the TV show. I figured that they were gonna like, they went a different route with him, but I thought that his character development was adorable, and I feel like he's like a little kid inside, and he just, I don't know, like Ratcatcher, her sleeping all the time, like that resonates with me so deep because I'm such a sleeper, and the fact that she's such a heavy sleeper like I am, and King Shark is just like, I'm gonna eat her, like everybody's like, what are you doing? Like, and she just sleeps through the whole thing. Like, I felt that so deeply in my soul. Like, I was just like, yep, that's me, girl, that's me too. And I just thought it was like a cute moment with her and King Shark where she's like, would you eat your friends? And he's like, I don't have friends. And she's like, let us be your friends. And like, she had that nice connection with him, and I thought that was really, I thought it was cute. I thought it was a nice little, like, it kind of shows her personality. She has a very warm, like, caring, compassionate personality.
She was the heart of the movie.
Yeah. Yep.
Definitely
she really was. And I'm like, And Sebastian, oh, I love him so much. Now I want a rat. I'm like, great. But yeah.
So let's travel back to the briefing for people who have not seen the movie. Oh, by the way, we should let you know this is spoiler territory all across the board when it comes to this episode. Yep. So if you've not seen the movie, go check it out and then come back here. So we get into the briefing and they're headed off to Corto Maltese, which is actually a country that was in the DC comics, for, political, reasons, or, just like, storyline situations. But what I do remember, because Batman 1989 is one of my absolute favorite films of all time, was Corto Maltese was actually the photographs that Vicky Vale, Kim Basinger's character, had in her journal of photos, because she was, a war journalist at the time. And that's what that's what the Joker was looking at.
Oh my God.
In the museum. Remember, he goes, crap, and he goes, well, because it's a bunch of dead bodies and stuff like laying on the ground. She was getting those from Corto Maltese, which is supposed to be like this really just overly violent country. And they have to go to a lab called Jotunheim, which apparently they don't know this, actually houses another character that we'll talk about later on the show. But is there any moments, from, just this group when they end up in Corto Maltese that really like stood out for you? Like, just them, just them as a group.
I really liked the fact that they humanized like so many of the characters during it. Like they gave their backstories. I mean, Polka Dot Man's whole backstory and everything was like wild. And then you're just like, everything that, like, whenever someone's like, that's your mom, and he's just like, and then it cuts to like showing his renditions of his mom all over the place. And I felt like they did all of the characters justice in that.
I do also want to talk about Mr. Cosplay himself, John Cena, because as I had also said on the show, I thought that he was going to be an absolute standout, and him as Peacemaker is off the charts.
It was incredible. Like everything about that character, you could tell John Cena himself, he was having an absolute blast playing that character. Like from the start all the way up until his ultimate demise.
So of course, let's talk about Miss Harley Quinn. She's not in the movie for a good amount of time, surprisingly. But when she is on this, like every frame is just absolutely electric, as I'm certain anybody would attest, we would say. But from the time where she is in the car getting dolled up, after being taken out of the pit that she's in, and looking at herself and going, oh my God, I'm a princess. I'm to the point where she even gets out of the car and like they're basically like Beauty and the Beast, like like, here you are, ma'am, here's your castle, and she goes, gracias. What did you think about that scene? Because I know you were saying like that entire moment for you, just the moment of possible happiness for the first time, just gets swept right out from under her. Of course she does something about it, but like you said, that really affected you. So what did you think about that entire scene as a whole?
Man, they cut me deep on that one, because like I do resonate with Harley with a lot of my past and my abuse and things like that. And I do, as a person, tend to only see the best in everyone. So that is like one of my worst and my best qualities. So I have a hard time with like, if I see a red flag, acknowledging it and being like, So when she was like giving her red flag speech, I was just like, yeah, because I'm in that transition in my life where I'm actually like starting to like go, okay, if someone's showing red flags, I should probably be aware of it and not like keep going and being like, they're probably still a good person. So when she was saying that, it cut so deep, because it was just like, it resonated with me currently at the moment. And it was just, man, it was like, Harley, did you have to go so hard on me? Like, did they have to come for me like this? But whenever it came to like her starting to find that happiness, and it was just like, wow, like I want her to be happy. And, you know, again, it resonates with me so deeply because of my past and my trauma. So having that was just like, wow, like this cut pretty deep.
Yeah, but this is the most human we've seen Harley.
Oh yeah.
Like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
As a woman, she's able to break away from the looks of this guy and his beautiful birds and everything, and just see him for who he truly is and how ugly he is. You know what I mean? And
yeah, she's like, why would you kill kids? Like, you know, and it was just like, there's so many hard lines us as women will overlook because of, you know, X, Y, and Z reason, because like he can support us, or because, you know, he looks nice, or because of whatever. And we overlook a lot of those issues, those red flags. And she put in the spotlight that, no, like, this is a hard line for me. Also, it's a hard line for humanity. You don't kill kids. This is the line. Like, and I feel like that's kind of a universal line with everyone, you know, pretty much. But I feel like her being like, no, you're not allowed to kill kids. Like, it was a nice, like, this is my line and you're not going to cross it, but also you're a piece of shit. So bang, bang, like just killing him off. And I mean, if he's willing to kill kids, that's a big red flag.
Yeah, she basically said, you know, it's a really, you know, really shame to that monster between your legs. Like, you know, your dick's not worth it, dude. Like, you know, you're evil and you gotta go. And I can't get with that. Sorry.
Her being like, you know, these thoughts are drained from your head now. Like, she's just like, your head is empty. Like,
this is the most beautiful you ever looked.
Yep. And I thought that was like absolutely incredible of her just being like, no, you're an absolute monster of a human being. So nope, see ya. Like,
well, let's talk about the kills. Is there anything that like stood out when it comes to the kills? You know, once we get to Corto Maltese, I think my favorite moment was when they kill every single freedom fighter. And
oh my God, I like, oh.
And he's just like, and he's like, they're just competing with each other, just to, you know, to brutally murder every single person. And I think the one that really got to me was the guy that was sleeping, and when Peacemaker just goes,
yeah,
that was pretty nuts.
And then like, why did no one tell me that you guys were here? And then it's just like, oh my God, like those two were so obsessed with outgunning themselves or outgunning each other that they killed everyone without question. And then boom, you realize that they're actually the good guys fighting against the bad guys, and they're on your side, and they're just like, oh
yeah, Rick Flags just hanging out, and they're like, you drinking tea?
Yep.
Yeah. That was awesome. But is there any kills that like stood out for you in this movie? Because they're pretty damn brutal.
God, it was
like, I'm certain, you know, because we have to talk about this, and this is something that James Gunn has been talking about till he's blue in the face, was that the best scene for him was that 5-minute fight scene between Harley and, you know, the rebel group, where she's just like lacing into them.
Yes, I loved that.
Uh-huh.
I'm so glad that they gave her that fight scene. It was just so good. It was so good.
Yeah, you know, what's interesting is, you know, like after she, you know, does what she does and she's getting tortured, you know, the one thing she's singing is, I ain't got nobody, you know.
Yep.
And you know, again, like, it's just, oh man, I just want, Margot needs Ivy in her life. Are you paying attention, please? Warner Brothers, DC? That's what she needs. That's her happiness. That's her warm spot. We need to see that at some point.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, like the interesting thing is So she gets out of the lock, and of course, you know, she just goes like ape shit on these guys, and like just using acrobatics with guns, and she's just spinning around. But the thing I thought was really cool, obviously, was, you know, she's seeing flowers, you know, instead of blood. And I think I don't know if I'm right about this, but I think it's just like she's so joyous about the death aspect of it that it's just beautiful to her.
Yep. Yeah,
I thought it was done.
I thought it was an amazing fight scene. I mean, the fight choreography was incredible. I loved how like agile she was, and how she just like she flowed so well. It was almost like a dance, and I thought it was great. I mean, there's not anything bad that I could say about that scene, just because it's so beautifully done. And I do like the fact that James Gunn, like, I noticed it, but like whenever she's standing outside that room, there's still flowers like falling in the room. And I thought that was a nice touch, where it still has that, you know, where it's still that reality in her head, where that's what's still going on.
Like that blood, it's like flowing on the ground. It's all floral.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk about her relationship with Rick Flag, because, you know, I mean, it's very obvious that they have a very deep friendship, which is really interesting, because of course, you know, we see in Suicide Squad where they're sitting in the bar and she's like, "We don't want you here," you know.
Yeah.
And of course, you know, that changes, you know, at the end of the climax of the film. But yeah, it felt like there was some fireworks going on between those two.
Yeah, and especially whenever he died, you can see that it pained her. Like, so I really do think that there was some like possible romantic aspect of it. Like maybe they had a crush on each other, but never like did anything about it, never said anything about it, and it was just kind of like underlaying. But like you could tell she really cared for him, and vice versa. And you know, them working together again, she was happy to be back in the squad, despite being, you know, caught again and arrested for, what was it, speeding in a building. I think she said like speeding through a building. And yeah, so she was just happy to be there, and I feel like their dynamic showed that he was also happy that she was there. I feel like he probably felt safer with her around, especially with the crew that he landed on the beach with, knowing that Harley had his back. I feel like they also had that like really strong dynamic together.
Oh yeah, most definitely. And you know, I do have to mention Peter Capaldi's The Thinker was fantastic.
So good.
Yeah. You know, but I mean, he was one of my favorite Doctor Who's for a reason. He's just it's so actually one of my favorite moments with The Thinker was when John Cena is literally smashing his head into the security thing. He's like, "Son of a bitch." Yeah. I laughed so hard because like the dude is so violent that he literally has to just hit his head into something just to do it, you know? Yeah. So of course, we find out the secret of Jotunheim, which of course is Starro, which is a character that James Gunn had said he was actually afraid of when he was a kid reading comics. But yeah, what did you think of the whole Starro angle?
Oh, like that thing freaks me out. So I totally understand why he was scared of it as a kid. Like, cause again, it goes into the whole fact that like zombie stuff, like zombie, Borg, Starro, like that's all in my wheelhouse of like I just don't touch, because it scares me half to death. And I think it's because of the losing yourself, losing power, being forced into this like whatever thing, whether it be, you know, you're a zombie and dead and you're just walking around being driven by like eating people, or, you know, the Borg being, you know, pushed by the collective, or this is very much Borg related as well. It's very collective, and Oh, it's just, oh no, it was too much. Like I was just like, no, I don't like this.
Yeah,
So
but
yeah, Starro
he's
freaked me
so
out bad.
he's so adorable though.
Oh no, it was. I want a plush of it just to squish it, but like past that, man, I was just like, no, I don't want zombie stuff. So like
We would be hard pressed not to mention our favorite Suicide Squad member, Milton, the bus driver.
oh, Milton. I like uh
I just think it's funny that he followed them the entire time. Like,
yeah, and then like I resonate with Polka Dot Man now. I didn't think that I would. Like him and Ratcatcher, I realize how much I resonate with them too. So I almost feel like if you were to make a Jen like shake, you would put like some Ratcatcher in there, some Harley in there, and some Polka Dot Man, because like I would have been absolutely distraught, being like, you guys didn't know that they were the bus driver Milton, like, and I just he's so kind and caring.
mm-hmm.
Like as a character, he seems very kind and caring, and like whenever Milton dies, he's just like completely beside himself, being like, he was with us the whole time.
Yeah, and
just
everybody
like,
else is like, "Who's Milton?" I don't,
Milton. I would have remembered a Milton. That's a very uncommon name, and I'm just like, oh my god,
mm-hmm.
no.
I mean, that's probably the most devastating death in the movie for me was, seeing Rick Flag, get taken out the way he did. And I, the thing I love the most about, seeing fan reaction online and stuff is that Joel Kinnaman, I never had an issue with him as Rick Flag. But, a lot of people didn't care for the Suicide Squad or Suicide Squad 2016. Really didn't care for that character. He didn't really have a lot of meat to him. They thought that this one really did him justice. You know what I mean? And I was really happy to see that. I was just really happy to see all the redemption for the most part that happened, online for these, for these characters and these actors.
Yep.
So of course, Ratcatcher 2, she shows her true power, which of course that everybody, has the ability to be a superhero, even the rats of Corto Maltese. And the rats come out in droves because, of course, there's more rats in the world than there are people.
Yep.
And it was really fantastic. And, just the scene with her sitting there with her father, which, of course, was Taika Waititi. That was a very touching moment.
It was so touching, and it really gave her character some serious depth, and it made you just absolutely fall in love with her. Like you can tell that she is just an absolute sweetheart and that really truly cares for everyone. And I love that character. I was not expecting to love her like this, and I absolutely do. And again, of course, Sebastian. So
they save the day and they're talking to each other, and she goes, "I'll be your friend, Milton." That's not my name. It's a blood sport.
Yeah.
And she's like, "We've had this conversation for 3 hours. Of course your name is Milton." We get on the helicopter. We see Harley obviously relieved that she's alive. Ratcatcher 2 immediately falls asleep.
Yep.
And the moment that really just tore at me was little Sebastian laying on Bloodsport, and of course he just very nervously goes and pets him as he's sleeping on his leg.
God, like my entire heart at that point was just like, ah! Like I wanted, like, because I actually went out and saw it. So like whenever I came home, I snuggled my cat so hard because I was just like, it is so precious. Like I just need snuggles. But yeah.
There's gonna be people buying some rats after this movie, I'm pretty sure.
God, I hope you do it with the best intentions. So if you're gonna get a rat, you probably need two because they need little companions. They need friends. Don't get them and then neglect them, please and thank you. That is my PSA for today.
I've made it very clear many times. Like I am very loyal to Marvel as a fan. But I have always been, pretty much like balls to bone ever since I was a little kid, a DC fan. And
Yeah.
it always warms my heart to the point of just, just radiating with joy anytime that DC gets a win.
Yeah.
And
Same.
because it doesn't really happen a lot, and you're usually hearing that they're dropping the ball when it comes to their cinematic experience and this and that, and they're nothing like Marvel and blah 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 blah. But this, um, you know, I'm happy to say that for the most part, I hear a lot of people saying that it's probably one of the best films in the DCEU, aside from maybe like, Zack Snyder's cut of Justice League or something like that. So,
Yeah.
um, so yeah, it's really awesome that, it's getting the love that it's getting. I felt like you, like, I just felt like filled with life. I love these worlds and these characters so much.
Mhm.
And it's so great that Harley, herself continues just to get, so much depth and vindication. And, you know, um, she's just like, there's so much room for her to evolve. And,
Yes.
before we actually leave the show, the most interesting thing is James Gunn never saw Suicide Squad 2016. He just knew Harley, the character, so well that
Yeah.
he wrote her that way. Like he
Yeah.
knew, like from the comics, like that was, the kind of character she was, and that was
Mhm.
the emotional like damage that she was dealing with.
Yeah.
Um, God, it's so
Yeah,
good.
he nailed it. I mean, as if any of us really had any doubt. I mean, he is such an amazing director and he knows what he's doing. And man, he just like he hit a home run with this one.
Most certainly,
To no
yeah.
surprise, honestly.
With that, guys, this is the end of the show, and we just want to say really fast that we got a lot of things in the works when it comes to conversation. We are actually looking into building our entertainment website.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, I don't know if this is factual or not, but we are actually going to build our own channel. So if you guys are fans of the show, we will have that information throughout social media, all the moves that we decide to make.
Mm-hmm.
But if we do, we just want to thank Comic Book Movie and Nathan Best for housing us, for having belief in us, and supporting us, on this particular channel. And we're going to be friends till the end, guy. Don't worry. But yeah, we're going to be taking a 3-week hiatus due to the fact that we're a little burnout, and we're actually going to focus on the fall season of episodes, which of course there's going to be a lot of horror if you guys are into horror. Of course, the Halloween season's coming around, and so we've got a
I'm
lot to
trying to
talk
get Rob
about.
to do a few things, special spooky things for Halloween season, since that is my time of the year that I just freaking love.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I worked in horror for 11 years, so I got the bug too. So
Yep.
we're definitely gonna get some horror in here for you guys. So we're gonna take that 3-week hiatus. We're gonna come back and we're gonna have some great shows for you guys. Hopefully Di will be back with us, but thank you again, for all of the support when it comes to this show. From the moment that like we did the Army of the Dead episode and half the cast was actually paying attention to the show. Richard Citrone, who played the Zombie King, of course, was also very loving and appreciative when it came to the review that we did. And look, if we're gonna go out with a bang, Idris Elba, like it's pretty good. It's
Yep.
pretty good. So, guys, all we have to do, all we have to say to you is if you have a passion, if you have a dream, like don't let people say your fandom is, not worth it. It's not worth your time, or, it's not going to get you anywhere. Do whatever you're going to do, be it writing or painting or writing comics or whatever it is. The dream is real and is absolutely worth it. So go chase it. Thank you very much. We'll see you in 3 weeks. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.